Each week, my guests and I offer our insights on local, national, and international issues that impact the lives of our people of color, in the fields of business, education, health, politics, and religion. This week, our guests include Jacqueline Deutsch, organizer; Angela Williams, parent advocate; Amzai Muhammad, parent advocate and teacher; Juan Gonzalez, Chicago director. These and my guests are from Stand for Children. They represent a relatively new organization for our city as well as our state of Illinois. Stand for Children. During this hour, we will pick up on our discussion of last week, where we talked about public schools and public education, and we had Shane Evans, as well as my young lady, I forget her name, but she was awesome, Miss Moore. Anyway, we're going to pick up on public schools and public education and with this group. This is the group that has joined Chicago. And the question is why, and why now? What's the context of your visit or being here? Who organized you in the beginning? Who provides financial support? What compelled you to join in the fight and become yet one more socially motivated, do-gooder group? What made you come, and why are you here? After all, the great civil rights movement in the city of Chicago started around public schools, led by the celebrated, late and great Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Now, 50 years later, here you come. What's the deal? What does Stand for Children stand for? And why are you able to do whatever you do better than others that are already here? Now, I've asked some relatively provocative questions, not necessarily because I believe any of the answers. I mean, let me put it this way, not because I'm really trying to insult you, but because these are the kind of questions that would be in the minds, I believe, of our listening audience. They're wondering, why one more group? Don't we have enough groups already trying to do a deal with this issue of public schools? And especially when we consider the horrible level of failure that we experience here in the city of Chicago. And I'm one who has spent a lifetime in organizing, as a community organizer, as a lead organizer, and as the head of an organization trying to make a difference in public education and public schools. And sadly, I have to say, in many instances, we've not achieved what we'd hoped to achieve by now. I can remember I started organizing in 1966. We were then protesting the Benjamin C. Willis wagons, where our kids were segregated in schools and overcrowded schools. And so we were fighting segregation at that time. We were fighting nullification, and we were fighting de facto segregation. And we fought for open neighborhoods and trying to open up communities, since our schools were community-based schools and they were segregated, so we had to fight segregated housing. But the point was that we were fighting and have been fighting for many, many years. And yet, when we look at the scorecard for our schools right now, and we see that we have not achieved what we ought to achieve, let me give you some of these statistics. 92% of middle-income white students graduate from high school statewide. Only 77% Hispanic, Black, and poor children earn a diploma. 32% of Illinois students are currently proficient or advanced readers in 4th grade. Only 37% in math. Consider statewide, there's a massive achievement gap. Only 15% of black students are proficient readers, and only 9% are proficient in math by the 4th grade. For Hispanic students, those numbers are 18 and 19%. And for low-income kids of either race, 16% for both math and reading. These are not great scores. What's going on? And so I'd say that we're wondering why you're here, but maybe the answer is in these statistics and in this data. But anyway, we're going to give you the first shot, Juan. First, tell us who you are and what you're about. Something about you yourself.
Okay, my name is Juan Jose Gonzalez. I am a Mexican-American immigrant from Mexico. Obviously, I was born on one of the border states in Baja California. I came to Chicago about 60 years ago, and I became an immigrant rights community organizer for about 4 years. I worked in immigration marches, immigration reform, and in that work, I came across a lot of people who were very interested, like all Americans, in education of their children. I took some time away from immigration politics and policies. I worked for the Greater Chicago Food Depository. I got a degree in University of Chicago, a master's in public policy. And in that time, I really had the biggest desire to come back to work in the area of education policy. I haven't gone to public school in my life. Haven't seen a lot of my colleagues and friends in high school not even graduate or even go to college. I understood the necessity of this for my community and for the kind of working class communities as a whole. And I decided to throw myself at an organization like Stand for Children that works specifically on education, exclusively with working class communities, and exclusively for the betterment of the system as a whole. So that's why I'm here, and that's why I came.
Wonderful. Okay, wonderful, Juan. Thank you very much and welcome. Angela?
Hi, my name is Angela Williams, and I'm a parent advocate. And the reason why I'm so involved in education is because I have 5 children of my own. And we all believe, I stress education in my home. You know, it's part of the discipline plan. And so, you know, myself being in school, I'm currently pursuing my doctorate in public administration. It's important that parents educate themselves, and so that they can be role models for their family, for their children, because it do first start in the home. And, you know, we do understand that sometimes, you know, some homes are broken or whatever, but to me, in my opinion, that's no excuse for trying to get your children the best that they could possibly get. And education is so important, and that's why I'm involved in my daughter's parent council at her school. You know, I'm so involved with the different organizations and everything, especially the one here today, Stand for Children. And you know, it's just so important to me. It's part of my blood, the blood flowing through my veins that, you know, my children need an education, and I'm going to do whatever I can do to make that happen.
All right. Thank you so much, and welcome, Angela.
Thank you.
Brother Amzai Muhammad.
Good evening, sir. As you said, my name is Amzai Muhammad. I'm a product of the Chicago public housing system. My mom was a student of the Black Panthers. My father came up in the 60s and 70s with the Hebrew Israelites here in Chicago. And from that core, the struggle has been, that was taught in my home. And coming up now as a teacher and a father of 2 children, I've dedicated my life to educating not only black children, but children in general, to make them into independent and creative thinkers, not only to just fit into a society, but if necessary, to create their own independent reality so that they can be successful human beings in the world. And I came into contact with Stand for Children earlier this year, functioning currently as the president of our family teacher community organization at the school that I teach at. Juan Gonzalez, Jacqueline Dortch, and Stand for Children, they came into the school to assist us with empowering and mobilizing the parents in the schools so that we can help to turn our school into a community school, as well as build the community as a whole in the Woodlawn neighborhood.
Uh-oh, Woodlawn.
The historic Woodlawn.
That's my home.
Yes, sir.
I want you to know that Brother Emzai did not get his passport from me, and he and I are going to have a fist fight as soon as this program is over about him coming into Woodlawn and that checking with me. But anyway, Sister Jacqueline Dortch.
Good evening. Good evening. I am so excited to be here today. I sit here as a statistical miracle, having been raised on the west side of Chicago.
Oh, that's true.
In traditionally known K-Town. Okay. And I was born to a 15-year-old mother and a 19-year-old father. Mm-hmm. But my parents emphasized that education was important. School was not an option in my household. That's what you did. Mm-hmm. And when you didn't do it, my parents went to the school to find out why you wasn't doing what you were not doing. Yeah. As a result of their influence and insistence that education was important, I went on to achieve a bachelor's degree and a master's degree, and committed my life to working in nonprofit, working from child welfare to juvenile justice to early care and education, trying to heal the social ills that have traditionally plagued our communities. The opportunity to work for STAN presented itself in September of this year, and I was very excited to work with STAN because it gives us an opportunity to go back and be proactive about the reactive responses that we've traditionally had to the social ills that plague us. So getting in on ground level, working with parents, coming out from behind the desk and going into the communities and working with parents and community leaders to look at this issue of education and to propel the message that I'm a living example that education is the key to overcoming some of the social ills that have traditionally plagued our communities.
Okay, well, listen, I think we got it, and I want to welcome Juan, I want to welcome Angela, Emzai, I want to welcome, and I want to welcome again Jackie. Now we're going to start rolling on this program. We've got some controversial things here. You are here as a new kid on the block, but you're here with big fat pockets. My sense is that this is the best funded education reform group that we know of in the state of Illinois. It's being compared to other political action committees because you have, I gather, Brother Juan, a political agenda as well as a social agenda. So let's kind of get in and get mixed up here.
Yes, Dr. Finney. Politically, Stand for Children has a nonprofit organization. It has a community advocacy organization, also known as a 501c4. And we do have the blessing of having also a political action committee dedicated to education issues. So we use those funds for legislators who are going to be champion on education reform and champion for our children and champion for education in the city and the state of Illinois.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me say this, and this is probably the last hot potato I'll throw to you. Recently, your political action committee decided that it was going to support a Republican and who was running for the General Assembly. And as I understand, you supported him heavily. I can't remember exactly how much money was behind it, but that candidate lost. Mm-hmm. So are you Republican, a Democrat, or what are you?
So Stand for Children is a nonpartisan organization on all three aspects of our nonprofit, advocacy, and political action committee. In addition to supporting Republicans, we also actually supported a majority of Democrats in the state of Illinois. It was actually 2/3 Democrats and 1/3 Republican. The reason being is that, in Illinois, the show is run by Democrats, correct? But at the end of the day, what we're trying to emphasize is education champions. We don't really care what party you're about. We really care that you care for children, that you're going to take hard decisions that are going to benefit the public schools in the city of Chicago and in the state of Illinois. And that's ultimately our only and kind of deciding point. Mm-hmm. We really don't get involved in some other nonsense that goes on in Springfield, but we do care about who's a champion for education. And sometimes you got to play with both sides of the aisle in order to kind of leverage more power and more impact.
So therefore, you will support a Republican if he will support your agenda, and you will support a Democrat if if a Republican, male or female, will support your agenda, Stand for Children, you will support that Republican. And if a Democrat decides or elects to support your agenda, you will support the Democrat. So in a sense, you will support anybody who's going to support you.
Well, we have a selective process to support. We have a questionnaire that we engage all candidates in. Mm-hmm. You have to fill out that questionnaire. We also factor in their voting record, and we also factor in the likelihood and the competitiveness of the race. So based on all those factors, we have a board chair of our political action committee, kind of members on that committee. And based on all those factors, we will make a decision to engage in races that we think will further public education.
Mm-hmm. I don't know anything's wrong with that. I don't think so. But anyway, let's get down to the mission of this organization. And let's talk about what your top priorities are right now, and how do you approach, either one of you can jump in, how do you approach dealing with the issues that affect the public school-age children in the city of Chicago and perhaps even the state of Illinois right now? Jackie, you want to weigh in?
Yes, let me say first and foremost, our mission, our goal is very simple. We believe that all children should go to high school and have an opportunity to attend college. The way in which we move forward with that agenda is by working with community members, community leaders, parents, and other key stakeholders to make sure that we all have the same agenda with moving children forward.
All right, so here's the deal. Recently, there was a matter that came before the General Assembly. I think that's in this, what we call this veto section, or rump section for those of us who are my age. And I got an email out of the clear blue. We won. and I guess this was in the session that we just brought to an end. It was like the last week or so in October, the first week in November. So what did we win?
I could speak to that. There's several things that Stand for Children is currently working on. One of them was in this session, there was a bill, HB 3793, that would prevent local school districts from raising funds to cover education budgets, right? It would prevent people from raising or adjusting their property taxes in order to cover losses in property values. At the end of the day, we saw a lot of that this would hurt districts from being able to kind of be flexible in how they raise revenue to properly fund school districts. And we didn't want school districts to be hurt by the state of the economy right now. We all know it's a struggling time, that people are tightening their belt, like President Obama says. But at the end of the day, where that should not be hit is in the education system, right? So we wanted to make sure that school districts, educators, and administrators had the flexibility to properly fund public schools. Some of the other things that we're working on is the quality of schools in the city of Chicago and the state of Illinois. One of those aspects is also the length of the school day and the length of the school year in the city and state. And those are some of the things that we're working on with Angela and Mr. Muhammad.
Okay. Anybody else want to add to that? Isaiah?
That was, a partial win as far as a longer school day. But looking at the statistics right now, and those statistics still include schools with longer hours, going to maybe 4 o'clock. Currently, we have, based on a report that the Children's Defense Fund issued earlier this year, you have currently 89% of Black and Latino children in the state of Illinois, 89% reading below grade level. The numbers are fairly the same for 8th grade and 12th grade. So not only are we looking for a longer school day in hopes that the children could get more educational time, but we're looking also to get a more quality education, quality teachers.
Okay. I think I got it, Amzai. Now, I've got a caller coming in. Michael, are you there? Michael, are you there?
Yes, I am. How are you guys today?
Okay, Michael.
Hi, Michael.
Good, thank you.
I am a semi-retired educator, now semi-retired in Dallas, but I taught with the public school districts, several of them in Colorado. And I know you're in Chicago, but I noticed a pattern of discrimination against African-American teachers, specifically male. And so when I went for my master's degree, I decided to do it on the African-American teachers in education in public schools. And the statistics that I found, and by the way, I want to find out what your statistics are in terms of white teachers versus the statistics on minority teachers, i.e. Black, Hispanic, Native American, Asian, and I found some severe discrepancies. In my research, in Colorado, there were 167 school districts. There were over 40,000 employees in the whole state for all of those school districts. Only 719 of them were African American. There were no Native American male teachers. There might have been maybe 68 female Native American teachers, and the Hispanic numbers were a little bit higher. And so then I looked at college institutions that graduate students in Colorado, the University of Northern Colorado, University of Colorado, the University of Southern Colorado, several universities at Metropolitan State College, where a student can get an education degree. And I found out students were graduating with degrees in education, but they were not being hired by the school district. And so the one thing that I've noticed here in Texas, they go out of their way not to give African-American students the quality of education that they should. And the reason why I know this is because I do a lot of volunteer work.
Brother Michael, I'm going to have to kind of cut you short here.
But can you give the statistics on teachers, the breakdown of the ratio and the teachers, and I'll listen.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody want to deal with that?
I'm not entirely sure what state Michael wants to know the statistics.
It's got to be Illinois. It's got to be Illinois.
We don't have those statistics.
Okay. Thank you so much, Michael. We don't really have that data set right here, and I certainly don't have it. Here we are. So we won. What's the? Are you in the middle? Is Stand for Children in the middle of this controversy between the mayor and the union as it relates to the longer school day. What's your stand on that? And there was some sort of negotiation, I understand, recently that dealt with the longer school day, and I read someplace that someone accused Stand for Children as being anti-union. So where are we on this?
Well, I'm not really familiar about the accusation with Stand for Children, but I am familiar with the longer school day and what the mayor has been trying to do. Now, I'm for the longer school day. I've always have been, and I think it's time for our children, if they could stay in class until 7, 8 o'clock at night, that would be great. But, for children to get the quality education, and I think that's what the teachers union is trying to suggest, that they need more quality programs. But we should already have quality programs in the school system. And the mayor wants the quality programs, but he also is advocating for the longer school day. Now, as a parent, I believe in the longer school day, but I also believe in the quality programs, like for minority students, for them to be successful, especially black students. It's the children need to feel like someone cares about them, and whatever we can do as parent advocates, to show our children that this is about tough love. This is about giving you what you need so you can be successful in life. They need intensive reading programs. They need intensive math programs. For one, my daughter's third grade teacher, she attends Betty Shabazz International Charter School. And what she do is she sends, in addition to homework every day, she sends a packet of materials for them to go over that whole week. And this is in preparation of the March testing that she's preparing them for. And so, but what the thing that disturbed me is that, my daughter started third grade, but they had to go over second grade curriculum to move forward. And so with the longer school day, they won't have to, they can take more time in developing these skill sets for our children. And so they could become better citizens and grow up in the education system, graduate from high school, graduate from college, become entrepreneurs. I would say look for a job.
All right, now, Angela, you're getting over.
Yeah, I know. I'm going too many minutes.
Right, yeah, but listen, I'm going to have to take a short break. Y'all mind?
Okay.
We're going to have to take a short break, and we'll come right back to this. We've got a bunch of callers, and I know y'all. We're going to get to you. This is Leon Finney, your host on Another Perspective. We're going to take a short break. Stay with us. And with Children, or Stand for Children. This is a powerful new organization that has come into our state. It's probably been located here less than 18 months. And they have really gotten rolling in the General Assembly, and they're rolling up victory after victory. And one has to raise the question, well, what were we doing wrong before y'all got here? But anyhow, we're still dealing with crippling data, no matter who's fighting the battle, right? Crippling data with respect to reading and math and science as it relates to performance of our school-age children dealing with reading, math, and science. So the real question is not so much dealing with the data and what's wrong. Let's spend the next half an hour, if you will, talking about what we do. What's going to make a difference? What can we do right in order to improve the quality of education, Angela, for your children and for every other child, no matter what the color is? And obviously, we have to principally deal with the majority of the student body that's in our public schools right now, which would be African American and Hispanic, right?
Right.
That they make up probably somewhere around 80 to 85%. Maybe it may be changing a little bit, but the great bulk of the student body right now would be made up of African Americans first in terms of the numbers, and then next would be Hispanics, and then finally would be whites or others. So the question is, what could we do, and what could we do to make a difference in the improving or making our schools work and helping our kids perform better? Anybody can take that one.
I just want to start off by saying, as I ended last time, yes, this is Angela Williams, that parent involvement is the key. And everything starts from home, and parents must make children the number one priority right now. And especially, like you said, with African American children, mostly because they're the ones that's really, really, really behind right now. And so, as a parent myself, I've always been involved in my children's education. I've been parent liaison between the teacher and the parents of the other children in the classroom. I'm serving as secretary of the parent council right now.
So you're involved.
Yeah, so I'm involved and I stay involved.
You're all in and
I'm
going
all
to school.
in and I stay educated. There's no such thing as not going to school in my home.
All right.
As you mentioned, before, that you either go to school or there's no other option. Oh, that's Jackie mentioned that. There's not an option for not going to school and not being successful, not at my house.
Dr. Finney, if I may chime in,
yes,
and then
Juan,
Mr. Muhammad. So I think as an organizational model, Stand for Children believes heavily in parental involvement, right?
Yes.
Not only at the home level, but then giving those parents the tools to advocate to the elected officials
Right.
and to the school administrators who who make the decisions for their schools for their kids. So we engage in a series of leadership trainings, and I think we also are willing to take bold stances where other organizations have not previously done so. And I think that has allowed to shift or change the nature of the conversation to really get things going. And I think Mr. Muhammad agrees.
Yeah.
And in addition to
Okay. Brother Amzai. Okay. Yes.
Yes, sir. In addition to what's been said, looking at the data, where and specifically in the city of Chicago, we have over 75% of the students, regardless of race, grade level, failing. Stan or I, we didn't come up with these statistics. This is what it is. So we have to look at the system in and of itself. What's working, what's not working. We can come up with the conclusions because these statistics have been getting worse over the last 50 years. So we have to come up with the question, is the educational system working?
And is it? Obviously, it's not.
I'm speaking as a parent who's heavily involved, as well as a teacher inside the system. What we're doing is not working. The educational system has not changed with the time.
I don't want to shut you down. So we know it ain't working.
Right.
What do we do to make it work?
Okay, so we look at it now. We need a new educational paradigm. This educational paradigm has to include heavy parent involvement. There's no more.
Parents is number one.
Right, parents are number one. Parents can no longer have the option not to do.
You hear that out there, parents? No more option. You have to do.
As parents, we make time to go party. We make time to go do whatever we want to do in our social lives. But when it comes time to getting involved in the educational system of our children, we make excuses what we can't do. I have to cook dinner. I'm tired. I've been at work all day. Excuse, excuse, excuse. But life does not make excuses. Life keeps on moving. And as parents, we have to become involved and move right along with the time and our children. We have to, as parents and citizens of this city, we have to hold everybody accountable. We have to get involved in the curriculum development of the schools. If we can't get involved in the curriculum development of the schools, can we honestly have the authority to say, oh, you're not doing this, you're not doing that? Well, what are you doing, parent? Mm-hmm. So now we have to change the curriculum in the schools that's engaging to the children. Our children's minds are moving just as fast as the internet and all these games, but we're still functioning on an educational system from an agricultural perspective, where they're sitting there as machines. The bell ring, you move here. Oh, now take out your social studies book, take out your math book. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. We have to now make education creative and innovative, where it keeps up with the time and works right along with the minds of our
So in a word, you're
children.
saying the education, the curriculum must be stimulating.
Exactly.
Am I right?
Very
so maybe we
stimulating.
need some stimulus at this particular point in the in the classrooms between the teacher and the student and the parent, right?
Yes, sir.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Anybody else want to weigh in? What do we do? What do we do? What do we do?
Well, Amzai
Jackie.
made a key point. He talked about our educational system. I think we need to change culture and begin to look at our system not just as the building across the street or something that belongs to CPS. The system belongs to the parents, to the communities, to our nonprofit agencies, to everyone who is involved in that community. That is the educational system. And until we all get together and begin speaking the same language, we will not succeed.
So what I
Okay,
would
yes.
say
What?
is that parents, the way the parents get involved is it doesn't have to be with Stand for Children. You know, whether you work with Stand, whether you work with the Woodlawn Organization, whether you work with Raise Your Hand Coalition, we want parents to start having a voice. What I see now in the city of Chicago, and particularly in the state of Illinois, is that there's two camps. Right? For example, in the city of Chicago, there's the mayor, and then there's the teachers union, right? And parents and children are being held hostage between these two camps and between some of the politics and their differentiations. Right? As an organization, we want the parent voice to shine through this. We encourage parents to go speak at the Public Board of Education meetings. We have a website where Angela Williams has been participating and shared her story called longerbetterday.com. And we're asking parents to engage in their local school council, to advocate with their local school council how they want things done and advanced. And then we take parents to speak to elected officials and say, this is what we believe. Will you support us?
Okay, but here's a question. Here's the question. What do we do about the teachers?
Well, what we can do about the teachers.
I mean, I got that we have to get the parents involved. And Tommy, I see you up there, and Cheryl, I see you up there calling in. But what I want to do is this now. I'm looking for solutions. So if you got a question, let's talk about a solution right now. So Angela, let's weigh in on. So we know that there's another party in the classroom.
Right.
Another party is a teacher, right?
Right.
So what about the teachers, and what are we asking us? What are we seeking from the teachers that's different than what we've been getting?
Well, I'm seeking from the teachers more passion in teaching our children. Like I said before, I'm just going to say her name, Mama Laranya, who teaches 3rd grade at Betty Shabazz International Charter School. Like I stated before, she's very involved in the children's education. She's very passionate about helping them to learn and helping them to pass these standardized tests, which doesn't really say or give the accurate percentage of the education intelligence of our children. It just says that, oh, you missed 25 questions over here, so we're saying you're at this level. You know what I'm saying? So, but we need is more passion from the teachers.
Okay.
We
now,
need them to be more.
Hold on now.
As far as sending, like I said, sending that extra homework home with the children.
Yeah.
If it doesn't come back to school, get on the phone, send emails. I send emails to my teachers. I communicate.
All right, but Angie, here's what a superintendent or the head of the public school says. You know, the teachers need to go and visit kids at home. What about that? Does that make sense?
Dr. Finney.
Yes, go ahead.
Now, as a teacher, as a teacher, I go home. I go to visit my children's home.
Right.
I get invited to my students' home. As teachers, number one, we have to be honest with ourselves and what it is that we're teaching. Say, okay, it doesn't work. All right, fine. Now what do I do? As a teacher, I have to, number one, first thing, change the mindset that I have that this is a job. I don't teach social science. I don't teach math. I don't teach science. I teach children.
Okay.
So when now you bring the humanistic approach to education, you have to, as teachers, we have to stop to think whatever degree that we have, that we've made it, and we are qualified to teach the children because education has to change with the time.
All right, Amzai. So what I got is Amzai said that we are not teaching subjects, we are teaching children. All right. Look, I got it right now. Cheryl, you're on line 2. Cheryl?
Well, good evening.
Good evening.
What I want to say,
Yes, ma'am.
I think we need to bring the preachers in.
The who?
Because we
Amen.
have over 100,000 preachers within the city of Chicago. Open them up during the evening hours, early in the evening. Open them up on Sundays. Open them up on Saturdays. Give these children tutoring. Spend some money on the children, not just the preachers and their families.
Oh.
They're all being educated well.
All
but
right.
these black children, and that's who I'm interested in, because I don't think that we should be paying for free education for illegal Mexicans in the city of Chicago and the state of Illinois.
Okay.
I think the preachers, the black preachers, need to open these churches up and do their duty.
Gotcha, Cheryl. I got it. And so Cheryl has challenged the preachers. Now, that means that she's challenged somebody like me because I also have a church and I have members in my church. And so there is the challenge to the preachers of this community, of the city of Chicago. Angela, now, every answer right now, since we've only got about 18 more minutes, every answer has got to be super short. Go, Angela.
Pastor Beekman of South Lawn United Methodist Church just recently implemented an after-school program. The school right across the street from him, Caldwell Math and Science, they let their children out at 1:45 every day. So what he did was he implemented an after-school program to further give those children education on character education and other things that would help them, make them well-rounded children. Do you know that we fought and we passed out flyers and we did everything we could? We stood, we went to events of the school, we did everything we could to get in the face of those parents, but the parents did not sign their children up. So churches are involved. It starts at home, like we said before.
So we got a massive job. On your side, we've got a massive job of training and preparing our parents to be parents to their own kids, right?
That's right.
So really what you're saying here, Angela, as a parent, right? It starts with the parents, and
that's right.
The parents get the education that they tolerate.
That's right.
Look out. All right. Mm-hmm. So here we are at a moment right now, and we are dealing with this log jam, right? And so we've got the teachers on one side, and we've got Rahm Emanuel on the other side. Now, we know that Stand for Children your PAC supported Rahm Emanuel, right or wrong?
That's incorrect.
Oh, it's incorrect?
That's incorrect.
It's not incorrect? It's not correct?
We did not donate in the mayoral election.
Okay, well, that's one fact that's wrong. I'm not used to having my facts wrong. So whoever printed this up for me, you're fired. But anyway, here we have a situation on the longer school day, and there was a recent compromise about the school day. Isaiah was talking about the fact that we really have to worry about what goes in the envelope of the school day, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that gets us around to curriculum and content, right? Mm-hmm. Yes, so the real question is, what are the teachers teaching when they are teaching? And Isaiah says that teachers got to learn how to teach children rather than just teach subjects. So I want to come back to that, Isaiah, and I'd like to have you elongate that a little bit so that we can really understand what you're talking about.
Okay, let's look at content. Now, in the city of Chicago, the public school system is majority blacks and Latinos. However, we look at the educational system, and it's from a Eurocentric perspective. Mm-hmm. So when the children sit in this classroom, whatever subject they're studying, they never see themselves in this. So when I'm studying, I'm reading social studies, history. All I'm seeing is the contributions of the founding fathers. I'm seeing contributions of all the citizens who were white. But as a black man or a black young boy or girl, all I see is that I was a slave. But they never teach what we contributed to this country, when there's a wealth of information to that. When you have Latino.
Wait a minute, Isaiah. We heard that last week. Shane Evans from the school I think you work in, he said that, and his, because I'm going to try to, you may want to move on to something else too, okay. Because we heard that last week, yes, that sir. Our kids have got to be taught culturally sensitive, with culturally sensitive illustrations, if you will. I think that, and there's no sense in having some black illustrations, some white illustrations teaching black kids at the end of the day. That was what you were saying, right?
For the most part, yes.
All right. But is there anything else we need to make sure that the teachers get?
I think what everyone understands that teachers really need, that at the heart of the school, teachers need good support to be able to teach their subjects, right? Teachers need a good system, a good school system that mentors them, that for new teachers mentors them and preps them. Mm-hmm. Teachers who have been experienced need the ability to be able to teach their wisdom to other teachers so they can get things going, ball rolling for newer teachers. And ultimately, what all teachers need is a good principal. Mm-hmm. At the school, good school leadership. Uh-huh. If you have good teachers and good school leadership, you're going to have a better functioning school. Statistics show that the most important people in the quality of a school is the quality of the teachers, but also the quality of the principal who supports those teachers.
But we got hung up some time back in school reform, and I was there when even Oprah came out and says, you want to join your local school council because you get to fire your principal, right? So what happened with that? My point is that firing a principal ain't necessarily the whole deal.
Right.
It's more than firing a principal these days, and has been for some time. You just can't talk about firing a principal and then be able to get over. We're going to take a caller in a minute. When we come back, we're going to take a short break. This is Leon Finney, your host on Another Perspective. We're going to take a short break. We're going to be right back. Don't go away. We're going to come right back, and we hit Tommy, and then we're going to get up and get out of here. Perspective, we're dealing with Stand for Children. We've got 4 of our guests that are on our program. We're dealing with education for public schools. I know that y'all may be tired of this subject, but my switchboard is lit up. Tommy?
Hey, Dr. Finney, very quickly, because I know your time is short.
Yes, sir.
This is an absolute travesty and a joke. And the joke starts with the simple fact that professing to be wise, we are come to be educated fools. How come no one sees the correlation? And as jobs went, so has education gone. The state legislator of this state has gutted the education system. Teachers need resources. They need books. They need security. Children, I mean, this stuff is so ridiculous and stuff. The kids can't even compete against one another. And you keep talking about parents and the church. You need to shut up talking about all these type of things and let's get with the facts. How can you continue to keep saying about an education system and stand for kids, and the kids are dying right there in front of your face? Who's standing for them? Nobody. Not the politicians, not the parents, not the police, nobody. Okay. I mean, this stuff is absolutely idiotic. At some point, I just leave with this. You want to straighten all this stuff out? Let's start with that commercial that you're running where they're talking about the state is broke. How in the hell is the state broke? How about opening up all these books? Where's all this money went? That's how you start with trying to straighten all this crap out. And then you turn around and you got all these public schools all across Chicago getting all this money, pushing it out the way it's supposed to be. And I guarantee you'll see some results.
All right, Tommy, I got it. Thank you very much. And callers, I want to thank all of my guests that have called in today. I know that I'm going to leave a bunch of y'all waiting, but I want to thank you anyway before we get out of here. Now we're going to take the final minutes, and we're going to try to get weighed in on some of these issues. The question, I think, that Juan was left with, or Angie had picked up, was how are we going to deal with the teachers? And the longer school day is one thing, as an envelope. There's a question of content. The caller raises the question of support, which is where Juan was. We need to make sure that the teachers are given the support that they need in order to function. That may mean that we need to create a safe environment through which or for which the teachers are coming through. But what else do we need to do? What else do we passion and support and parent involvement? What else do we need to do? Jackie, you got something over there?
Oh, okay. Yes, I think that everything that you said is correct. Most importantly, we need to support our teachers and make sure that they have the resources necessary to do their jobs. Our teachers are incredible people who have committed a great deal of their lives to overseeing knowledge transfer and educating tomorrow's leaders. So definitely we need to start there, but we need to wrap ourselves around our teachers and support them so that they can effectively deal with all the issues that they see in the classroom. There's so much that teachers see that never comes across that's beyond books. Homelessness, children who are hungry when they come to school. Teachers need resources and need support.
Okay, hold on, Jackie, because this is a point. I don't know. We've got a fairly large segment of our public school population right now that we could characterize as poor, meaning they are on the free lunch or breakfast and lunch program. In order to get that program, you have to be poor, and you have to be certified as poor. So we have a lot of our kids coming to school to get that meal. The challenging part about this is that we have what we call another factor played in, and that is the absence of two parents, one parent struggling, and then sometimes that one parent that's struggling is strung out, and that's an issue. Sometimes we have the children that are in foster care homes because their parents have given up on them and they've been taken out of their homes. What do we say about this sort of parentless child that's coming into our schools, living with a sister or a brother? What do we say about them, and what percentage do they make up of our school population?
They make up a large part of our school population. But as teachers, we're not just teachers. Now, I'm speaking for myself, the teachers that I work with, and the mindset that needs to change. As teachers, we have to, like I said, not look at it as a job, but as a community effort. As teachers, we have to become not just teachers. We have to be big brothers, big sisters. We have to be uncles. We have to be aunts. We have to be grandparents. We have to look at the children that we're educating not just as someone else's children, as our children. So I tell my parents, when their children come in the first year of school, when they walk through their door, I'm daddy, I'm big brother, I'm uncle. I'm going to treat your children and teach your children the same way that I teach and treat my own, with love, care, but also with that strong love. When you get out of line, I'm going to, listen, get back in line. We have to, as teachers, we have to look at the children as people and not just someone else's, but as our own. And we have to teach according to the time, the conditions of the people that we're teaching, understanding in full the people that we're teaching, which means that teachers have to be re-educated themselves, and the location of the people.
Wait a minute,
that
now you
we're
slipped
teaching.
in something.
Oh, I
you
didn't
slipped
slip
in
it
something. I don't know whether or not the union's going to agree with that. You just said the teachers have to be re-educated themselves. That's another one of those hot topics, right?
Yes, sir, and that's exactly what I said, and I stand on that.
How many is that true?
So what I would say is that I think that many teachers that we talk to as an organization, Stand for Children, many teachers talk about that the professional development is not sufficient to best suit the children that they serve. I think that if we had teacher-driven professional development that they can engage in and participate in, they would make it more culturally relevant, more culturally sensitive, and more impactful for the students they serve. That being said, because a child is poor and is struggling in life does not give us an excuse as a system to write that child off.
Or to give up on it.
To give up on them. We are accountable as a society to make sure that this child has the best opportunity he can. That's what Stand for Children believes, and we're here to hold the system accountable for each one of those kids, whether they're poor, whether they're working class.
Okay, now, Juan, you hold your point for a second because I've got limited time, but I need to touch on this other one. You said that we have to have good principals too, meaning good leaders in the school that are managing the school and overseeing the operation of the school, right? Now let's unpack that for a second. And what does that mean and what does it look like?
I think it really means a lot of better selection of principals, better screening of principals, and better understanding of what qualities of a principal lead to a good school, right? Is this principal believe in his community, understand his community? Does the principal have a background in education so he can better guide and mentor his teachers, right?
All right, well, hold on. On this principal thing, recently, the head of the Principals Association, Clarice Berry, who once taught in Woodlawn, over, I think, at Fisk Grammar School, said that the principals do not need an incentive to do their job. Don't give them any extra pay. They ought to be doing it differently. What anybody got any comment on that one?
I disagree with that statement because the field of education is a very mentally and physically taxing field. Principals as well as teachers are underpaid. So there needs to be an incentive or more pay for teachers because it's a difficult job.
I didn't say he was not. She didn't say teachers. She said principals.
Well, even
and hold on. The city or the mayor or someone said, I don't know exactly, that there ought to be incentives and bonuses going to principals for doing a good job.
Now, it all depends on your definition of a good job.
And you had the head of the Principals Association flatly say, that's not necessary. Let's don't do that.
That's right.
Anybody else read that, or did I get the wrong notes on that?
You're right.
Yeah.
It all depends on what a good job is. If your school may not necessarily be making the mark, what they've termed failing schools, does that principal need a new bonus? No. Or if your school may not be on the failure list, but you have not enough students meeting that mark of meeting or exceeding state goals, is that principal being effective? No, the principals have to look at this not as a business, but as a field where you're changing and developing human beings and not just a bottom line or making sure that you're meeting grade levels or numbers on a test.
Okay, here's the deal. I am flat out of time. You know what? I want to say this, and I want to thank you, starting with the ladies. I want to thank you, Jackie Dortch. I want to thank you, Angela Williams, and I want to thank you, Brother Muhammad, and of course, I want to thank you, Mr. Director Juan Gonzalez. It's been wonderful having you with us today on Another Perspective. We are celebrating the entrance of yet one more power player in the operation of advocacy for our children, Stand for Children. It obviously is a well-supported, well-thought-out organizing efforts to build power at the grassroots level premised on parents. And I think that's very, very important. And obviously, as an organizer, I'm not going to ever give up my title an organizer. I am a minister, that's sure, but I'm also an organizer, and guess what? I'm a parent. And here I am, Leon Finney, your host on Another Perspective. Bye-bye, and guess what? We'll see you next week.